I'm just going to show them that ooh, that ain't right. Oh, I'm at the wrong one. Anymore. Put it over your head. There you go. Well, it's the first day of spring, and here we are at Bristol Shipwrights again. It's a great day. It's beautiful, warm out, and we're looking forward to a little bit of fun this afternoon. But today we're here in the shop, and I've got a new surprise for you. We have Melissa Conlon with us today, and she is going to be our new worker. So we're pretty excited about that, you know, because we haven't seen too many men all that interested, and it's just great to have a young lady around, and we're looking forward to teaching you some things and learning from you, because we know you're a graduate of IYRS, and I'd just love to tell you that I think that's pretty cool, and I want to ask you a couple of questions about it, that's all, you know. First off, I wanted to ask you what your experience with boating is to start, you know. How did you get going boating?
Yeah, so it was kind of an impulsive decision, and I started sailing in Newport on schooner Aurora, and then I just ended up jumping from boat to boat until I decided that I wanted to try boat building.
Boat building.
And that's when I enrolled in IRIS. Yeah.
Right, fantastic school. Now, I know that you built a Beetle Cat down there and probably a Herreshoff dinghy, and yeah, pretty interesting. What kind of stuff were you really interested in? What was the most interesting part of building to you?
As far as assembly for the boat goes, I really liked framing. Planking is always fun, but some of the nuanced things that I really liked was mast making, spar making,
yes, sure.
And I loved making oars for the dinghy as well.
Oh yeah, carving out oars and different stuff like that. Yeah, well, we're going to make a whole, you know, all the spars for this boat, you know. And hey, I've been wanting to make a set of oars. I haven't done it yet. I've done it in the past, but I haven't done it recently. So I'm sure you can teach us some of the things that you've learned down at the school, and hopefully we'll be able to teach you some things. We're going to get involved in planking. That's our first thing here, really. We're going to divide the hull up and line it off, and we're going to be planking it, and we're going to use some different methods, so I think you'll learn some new things, and I think you'll be impressed. I hope you're impressed.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, that's fantastic. Great. Well, in our last video, we determined how to put the magic line on and where we wanted it. And, you know, it's basically a division of the hull from the center line, equidistance forward and aft, that we measured down from the shear, and we put a couple nails and stretched the line to come close to those nails, pulled it really nice and tight, and no matter how many times you move that line, it'll come back to the same spot. And like I had said before, that magic line is where a straight plank, straight on one edge, would lay right on that line. So basically our next move here is to just mark the line, and we've done it, but I'm just going to show you how to do it. You just take the string, make sure it's in neutral like that, and I'll just put a pencil right under the string and make a mark like that. Just to determine that's the one, I'll put a little cross on it. So we're just going right down the hull. Once we do that, we're going to take the string down, which I'm going to do right this minute. That's the end of our magic line right there. And we're going to pick up a batten right here behind us, and we are going to tack it right through those lines and draw a pencil line right through those marks. Let's see, here we are right here. Go ahead. Go for it. Now that batten is a nice straight batten. It's perfectly straight on the bench, but it's edge settable. But as you'll notice, I haven't had to edge set it at all, because that magic line really does the trick. Just like that. So just keep picking out a few more marks and tack it on there. If it goes right through them easily, that'd be wonderful. Just like that. So now Melissa and Ken are finishing off that, nailing the batten down, and I'm just going to take a pencil, and this is our magic line drawn on the hull, right here. Oh, look, I lost my pencil just like that. There's a mistake. So, Ken's just going to continue that line back aft. We're going to darken it up real nice so we don't lose it. And I just like to explain to you that from that line to the shear, at any point, we can divide it by 19, and we're going to get the width of the planks that we want. The planks up in this area will probably be something like 3 1/4 or something like that. I think our midships are going to be somewhere around 4 7/16, 4 1/2, something like that. But the way we do it is we take a metric tape now. I've got that tape hooked on a nail that's on the shear line. So I can tape down here, and right on that mold line right there, I get 1,682 millimeters. And I'm going to write that right here, 1,682. Now, we're going to divide that by 19 and see what the answer is. That will be the width of the plank at that point. Now, in order to get every line on the boat, which we want, because we're going to flatten it between line-off lines so that the second layer of planking goes on nice and flat, we're going to divide it by 19. Then each time we get the answer, we're going to deduct the width from the maximum measurement every time, and we'll just get points all the way up the hull. Each plank at this station will be exactly the same width. They won't be exactly the same shape. They won't have exactly the same angle on the edge, but they'll be the same width. They'll be identical on the bench. Well, at this point, we have a beautiful shear line drawn on the strip planking at the very top. We stole that measurement or that position from the molds and transferred it onto the frames with a batten. And now what we're going to do is we're going to divide it right at the molds and halfway between the molds. So we're going to have, line-off lines about 18 inches apart. So that'll work out for us really nicely. Now, we also have on here a magic line that we produced with a string. We took the string down, tacked a batten, and drew a line alongside of it. It's nice and fair and perfect. And that is, like I said, where a straight piece of wood would lay against that line. So a plank near that line will have very little to no edge set whatsoever. In places in between, there will be some edge set, and we don't want to make the planks too wide. They'd be too hard to edge set. So we've kind of determined that we're going to divide it between the shear line and the magic line in 19 planks. So the easiest way to do that is with a metric tape, and Ken has hooked the metric tape on to the nail at the shear line, and I'm going to stretch it right down here and take a measurement. I have got 1,680 millimeters. And I'm going to have Melissa write that right down on our chart. We've got a little chart right here. So that's the width of 19 planks at station number 4. Now, we're going to divide that by 19 and get a product.
88.421.
All right, let's deduct the 88.421 off the original measurement. And what do we got?
1591.579.
1,591 point what?
579.
579. So that is very close to right between 1,590 and 1,592 in the accuracy. I can't really get any more accurate than that. So there's our next line-off line. Now deduct that same figure again and give me the width at 16 at 17 planks. So deduct it one more time.
1503.
1503.
.158.
Okay, I can't get the 158, but that's good right there. There it is right there. I wanted to just talk to you a little tiny bit more about this before we continue. We took the measurement from the shear line to the magic line. We divided it by 19. We came up with the product, and each time we do is we just deduct the product off the final answer every time when we get these numbers. And I just wanted to show you with a pair of dividers that, there's the measurement that I took off the tape measure. There's the second one. There's the third one. And there's the fourth one. They all come out exactly right. The only thing is about doing this, it's better off doing it with the tape measure than picking up your product and trying to divide it with the dividers, because you will get error. It's very hard to set the dividers exactly the right width to get exactly the right dimension. If you walked up there 19 times, you'd probably be off by a half an inch or something like that. So we can't do that. We do it with a tape measure. And I would just have to also tell you that there's a number of reasons why we do it this way. We want to have these marks every 18 inches apart. We're going to put a line right through these on the hull at every seam. And the reason why we're doing that is so that we can see if our planking matches up to the lines as we plank it. That's one reason. The other reason is ahead of ourselves as we plank it up, especially in the round sections of boat, amidships and aft, we're going to actually flatten the hull that you see in front of you between these line-off lines with electric plane, so that the next layer of planking goes on perfectly flat. Because otherwise, we would have to do it in a traditional manner. We'd have to hollow the back of the planks. Now, you know, how much is hollow? Is it 1/8 of an inch? Is it 1/16 of an inch? What is it? You have to determine all of that and then hollow it to that size. Well, flat is flat. There's no measurement on flat. It's just plain flat. So we just flatten it between line-off lines. The next plank goes on perfect. The glue line lays right up nice and tight, and there's no problems whatsoever. So I'm standing back aft, and the first thing I want to do is just show you, because you probably can't see it in the camera exactly right. This is the magic line right here that we've drawn. Now, that line is about 20 inches away from the keel, from the midships forward. So it's going to have 4 planks from midships forward, 5 inches wide or so, to make up that gap. And then you're going to run into a broad strake and a garbage. But basically what happens here is that we're going to put parallel planking on here, right? That's going to be 5 inches wide up forward. As it gets back in here, we're probably going to have to add a steeler into it. So that one 5-inch plank will turn into 2 2.5-inch planks and probably be 4 or 5 inches back aft. Now, the next thing is going to do the same thing. So we're going to have 4 steelers into 2 planks, and then 2 parallel planks underneath it, and then a broad strake, and then a garbage plank. Now, it's pretty simple stuff, really. The idea of that magic line was so that a straight plank would bend along that magic line. Now, we could actually put an 8-inch plank below that magic line that would bend on, but we don't want planks that wide. So it's going to be 4 planks that are going to cooperate really nicely. In this area, there's very little twist in them, very little edge set or any problems whatsoever. So that's the way we're going about it. And from this point up, each plank's going to be identical, but from this point down, they'll be a little bit different. Well, we're standing back aft here, and the next thing for us to do in our next video is to divide it up from the magic line down and determine exactly how many planks and how we're going to go about it. And we've basically got a handle on it. You know, we're going to have 4 5-inch planks or so on here that are come into 2 steelers per plank back aft. So you got a plank running into 2 steelers, another plank running into 2 more steelers, and then we'll have a couple of parallel planks below that, and we're down to our broad strake and our garbage. We are going to plank it from the bottom up, so we would determine all of this stuff before we start. We don't just start half-cocked and start putting planks on all over the place and then having to make up for our mistakes. So, you know, I think Melissa's been, you know, onto some of this stuff because she's, you know, she's worked on quite a few boats, and, you know, I think the lining off of like a beetle cat's quite a bit different than this. So you're going to be learning some stuff on this. What do you think about the whole project?
I am interested to see the progressive bevels on the skill saw.
Yeah, you're going to see it, you know, and we're going to be involved in it. You'll be able to do it just as easy as I can do it, and we'll all get together and have fun working.
Excellent. That's good.
That was horrible. Let me do that again. Can we do that again?